You are welcome to another episode of Agribusiness Matters. This is Ify Nzeka, and today's episode of Agribusiness Matters, we have Dr. Daniel Esiegbuya. Dr. Daniel is the Chief Research Officer at the Nigerian Institute for Oil Palm Research. And in today's episode, it's a follow-up to the conversations that we had in the first episode, where we had Dr. Victoria, where we talked about food sufficiency. In today's episode with Dr. Daniel, I will be trying to get him to help us understand better where we are in terms of oil palm production and oil palm sufficiency within the country Nigeria. So, Dr. Daniel is here. Dr. Daniel, can you
Good
hear
afternoon.
me? Afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you doing? Can you hear me?
I'm fine. Yes, I'm fine.
Okay. I was hoping we will see your face. So.
Okay.
Cute. How have you been?
I'm good.
Awesome. You're welcome. And thank you for, I know
Thank you.
you're so busy. I know you're really, really busy. So I truly appreciate you taking the time to join me today. I have a lot of burning questions. I was just saying that the day that I heard that we had to import palm oil from other countries, I was like, my dear, 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 dear country, the country of my heart, the country I love so much. How far? How did we get here? You are so welcome. So I'm looking forward to the conversations that we would have because I know you have a lot of knowledge and experience in that area. In our last episode, we were talking about food sufficiency. And one of the key areas that we need to be ensuring that we are very sufficient in is palm oil, because unlike a lot of other countries that they don't primarily, they use more of the refined, they even use more of the refined palm oil. A lot of our dishes, a lot of our local delicacies and dishes require, palm oil, and so it will be interesting to just know what's going on and and where we are in this area. So you're so welcome. But before we get into the conversation, I have a nice breaker question, and that is, what is your favorite food? I'm laughing.
Well, I'm from Delta, so
Okay.
for it to be to be precise, so my favorite food is starch and banga.
This is a reoccurring theme. Reoccurring theme.
So,
Starch and banga is winning as a delicacy on this show.
so that's my favorite food.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And then banga soup that we cannot prepare without palm oil. And then here we are talking, and this we're talking about palm oil. We cannot prepare without palm kernel, and the oil palm fruit, So I think that is great for us to then just dive into the conversations for today. So my very first major question, I find what you do quite interesting. As a Chief Research Officer for the Nigerian Institute for Oil Palm Research, what does your job entail in general? I've always been curious. So since the day we met, I've been very curious as to, this, I wonder what he does on a daily basis in this regard, in this area of oil palm research and, all of these other cash crops.
So, thank you very much. You see, NIFOR is, first of all, I'll say whatever I know today in terms of my technicalities and otherwise, more than 80% of what I know today laboratory experience, I got those experience from NIFOR. So NIFOR is an establishment that has a mandate to research into oil palm, shea butter, coconut, raffia, date palm. And NIFOR is a place that you are given a platform to develop yourself if you really want to. So I got appointed to NIFOR 2008, and we one of the policy of the institute is that when you come in as a graduate, the institute we train you for your MSc and PhD. It's compulsory. Wow. So under the federal government scholarship. So that platform is there for people to develop themselves if you really want to develop yourself. Wow. And so and the aim of the training is to do your MSc and your PhD research should be targeted towards any of these mandate crop, like I mentioned, that the oil palm, the raffia, the shea butter, and the case. Like my MSc, I focused on raffia. PhD, I focused on a shea butter. Then after my PhD, I started working on a oil palm. So it's a platform. It's a very good place where you can develop yourself and you rise through the ranks. So I'm lucky to rise through the rank to become a chief research officer. So what we do there basically is yearly government provide research money. So NIFOR has it's a mandate. Like I said, the mandate is to research into the genetic improvement of these crops. So every year you are expected to come up with a proposal in your own discipline on how to improve any aspect of this crop. So when you go to the office, you don't have any business talking, teaching. Your business is what? Research. So whatever you are doing is research. Then at the end of the year, you come out with your annual report and also proposal for the next year. So that's how we're doing it for the past, let me say, 16 years now. So it's a very good place for you to develop yourself if you are serious. Thank you.
Oh, that's very, very interesting, and I think that it's very encouraging to know that you're working in this government organization and they are deliberate about your training. Okay. You know,
yes.
They are very deliberate, and it's I think that it's so encouraging to see that will reflect in the quality of work that you put in, because you only know as much as you know, right?
Yes. No, like you rightly said, when I was doing my masters, you see, people from other institutes, they will also come, but they don't have the opportunity to, their office don't train them. So we are ourselves, we are lucky. So your school fees is being paid. You are given a local cost allowance.
Okay, so it's amazing to see that, like I said, leading the way in ensuring training and development for its team members is great to see. Okay, so now from reports, it would appear that Nigeria continues to import palm oil into the country, with import volumes increasingly on the rise. Why is that? Are we not producing enough palm oil in the country?
Yes, thank you. I would say, from my experience, I would say Nigeria is producing, but I will look at the problems. I will look at what is involved. But as a kind of introduction, Nigeria is producing. Now, let's take example for Edo State, for example. Now, over the years being in Edo State, I know of 3 major companies that have established oil palm plantations in Edo State. We have a Dufi, you have a Okomo Extension 2.
Yeah.
We have a private farm known as Saro. Now, these farms I'm telling you about, they are within the minimum of 10,000 hectares. So the thing is, Nigeria is producing. So you have it in other states of the country where oil palm is being cultivated. So, but the problem we have, truly we are importing, but the problems that we have with our production system is first, from experience, apart from, I'll look at all the problems one after the other, is basically the problem of increased population and local consumption. Now, during the early 60s, when palm oil to other parts of the world, where the largest exporter of palm oil, about 43% of the global share, then our population was just about 55 million plus. Yes. Now, today our population is more than 200 million plus. Are you getting my point? It's just like, the way I look at it is that it's just like when you are a bachelor, you are in the house, you cook your food, then if there is remnant, you give to your neighbors, they will eat. Are you getting my point? Then you are not married, you now have wife, you now have children. Automatically, you can't give those remnants of your food out again because you have other dependents that will that will eat the food, that will consume it. So the oil palm industry in Nigeria is increasing, but in terms of utilization, in terms of food and non-food uses, now I want to talk about food uses that in terms of you consume, use to do ground oil, use as palm oil to eat your food, like you said earlier on. Then non-food uses, you have other companies, they use it in making of noodles, biscuits, cosmetics. Those are the non-food uses. So companies are on the increase. So they need these raw materials to do for their production. So as a result of that, whatever we are producing cannot serve our local consumption. Now, I do consult with Okomo. Okomo is one of the largest. I think the largest oil palm plantation in this country. Now, I was talking with one of them. He said they have already projected as far as 2050 that, okay, this is where Nigerian population will be, and this is how they are going to meet our local consumption alone. So one of the challenges that, like I said, why we cannot export out, if we import in, is increase in local consumption. So people make those criticisms. They don't look at that. Now, for example, for oil palm consumption, it's estimated by a association known as Oil World that a person, as far back on it, that an individual will consume 12.3 kg grams of oil per annum. So if you multiply that by, then it was 140 million persons, you are getting 1.7 million tons that we are going to consume from all forms of vegetable oil, whether it's coming from soya beans, maize. So that's our consumption. Now, out of that, palm oil, out of that 1.7 million tons, palm oil accounts for 741,000. So the excess 570,000 is what is being that is being imported into the country. So because of increased population and increased demand for local use, it will be difficult for now for Nigeria to stop importation, because we cannot, first of all, we are not meeting our local consumption. So, but not that people are not, like I said, not that companies are not trying. You have establishments. You have a lot of foreign industry companies coming to invest here. Like I said, Duty in Cross River, you have WIMA, PZ WIMA buying over government plantations. So to reestablish, to also have their for oil palm plantation. You have other ones at Ogun State. So Nigeria, we are producing. So first, the reason is first, one of the major reasons is increase in local consumption and increase in our population. As population is increasing, so we need to meet that local consumption. So that is, first of all, my own personal argument based on what I've interacted with most of all these major stakeholders. expounding. Now, but apart from that one, we have now, like there's a study again. You see a situation like for Edo State, for example, as far back as 2009, the total acreage of oil palm we have in Edo State, like we talk about estates, like large estate owners, about 28,000 hectares. But now only Okomu alone has more than that in 2024. Only Okomu alone has more than 20,000 hectares. So it's an indication that what we are producing, people are investing. So it cut across all over. Now the second reason for this is that our oil palm plantation consists mainly of smallholder farmers. Mainly of smallholder farmers. Now we have, like in the statistics, as of 2012, the total acreage cultivated by smallholder farmers is about 325 hectares plus, while for large estate owners is 195,000 hectares. Are you seeing it now? Now, smallholder farmers, they cannot, they have limitations in terms of the choice of their planting material. They don't have access to getting a high-yielding oil palm seeds. They use poor agronomic practices, and their oil extraction rate is very low. So as a result of that, that will also affect their output. So it will not be what they're supposed to get. Like for example, Malaysia, the oil extraction rate for a seed of oil palm or for the oil palm is at around the 20%. But in Nigeria, our extraction rate is, I think, still below, still within the range of 13, 15. So if I'm supposed to get 20 from, maybe say from just a seed of a palm kernel seed, 20, let me say 20 volume, then I'm not getting a 16 or 15 based on my extraction method. The rest is lost.
Yeah.
Are you getting my point? So that's our challenge also. So these smallholder farmers that our plantation mainly consists of, they don't have access to money to get good machines to do their extraction rate to increase their yield.
Yeah.
Now, we also have the total acreage. We have those oil palm in the wild that we inherited from our parents, which people are still depending on. So we call them semi-wide grove. The acreage is 3.1 million blocks as of 2018. So those palm we have in the grove, the yield is very low because it's from the Dura and it's from the Dura and Tifera. So the yield is very low compared to the Tenera. So those are what consists our oil palm acreage in Nigeria. So, like I said, so the total acreage we have in Nigeria since 2012 was about 2.6 hectares, and that 2.6 hectares, the large estate owners that have the ability to do good choice of planting material, good agronomic practices, and high processing machine is just 195. They are taking about 195 hectares. So you see the difference. So all these things put together affect our production. You can get it now. All these things put together. So if we have a very large acreage that in the wild, which is almost 2 million plus, so the yield there will be so small, and those what they get for there is just to satisfy their local demand. So that is one of the second point. We said the oil palm industry in Nigeria is dominated mainly by small-scale farmers, but large players, they are coming in. Then I also mentioned that in this aspect of the small-scale farmers, they rely mainly on on the traditional method of processing. Now, when you are getting oil palm seeds, oil palm seeds, like in the traditional method, people from the wide, they just plant whatever comes out. But NIFOR, we have developed a Tenera seed that has with high oil content and production. So the yield is about 25 metric ton FFB hectare a year, compared to what we get in the wide, which is between 3 to 3.5. So that 3 to 3.5, that is what is that our village people or our fathers still depends on. So all these factors put together affect our production. So making it difficult for us to satisfy our local consumption. So that is the reason, some of the reasons why people we still import oil palm still come into the country. But there's also some school of thought that believe that no, this thing is not true. I read a report on that this is not true. That what people do, they smuggle they smuggle them to Cotonou. Then when they smuggle them out of the country, they also bring them back. So some school of thought believe on that is the challenge. That no, nobody is importing. Nothing is coming in. Because also, if you also go to the Nigeria Export Promotion Council, sometimes they may not be able to give you a good data to support this whatever is what is coming in and what is going out. But basically, these are the problems that is associated with our oil palm industry. Why, leading to the reason why oil palm product is still being imported into the country. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Daniel. This has given a lot of insight, but I think it also buttresses the point that we are not producing enough based on our current realities. So we are more people now, the population is more, we have more uses for processed palm oil, like you mentioned, the food and the non-food uses. And so the demand for it is so much more. And so what this means is that our production capacity has not been able to match the need and the consumption of it. So this then leads us to my very next question. So clearly, with the continued imports, we are yet to achieve food sufficiency in the area of oil palm production. What are your thoughts on what needs to be done in order for us to achieve food sufficiency in oil palm production for palm oil and its derivatives?
Now, having identified the problems, like I mentioned earlier, which is, if you look at that problem generally, is really what's associated with all our agricultural products.
Absolutely.
Some also
it's not related to palm oil, where
not related to palm oil.
Yes, challenge in everything, almost everything.
Across, yes. But some school of thought also believe now neglect of the sector as a result of this oil boom. So now, like just digress a little bit, when every government comes, when any government comes, they want to make impact on time. They want to make impact. So in terms of food security, now oil palm is not what government give priority to, because I remember
it's long term.
It's long term. So you are talking. Let's say I remember. I think last 2 weeks, a template was brought from Abuja to say, okay, what we have. How far from the Ministry of Food, Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Okay, how far have we done with our mandate crop? So it was a template consisting of all the agricultural products we have in Nigeria. Now, first, the oil palm was kind of the way it was structured, like along with those annual crops. So it's two different things. Yeah. Now, if I'm doing tomatoes farming or I'm doing maize farming, in 3 months I'm already harvesting. I've already planted and harvesting. But in 3 months, I'm still doing pre-nursery with the oil palm. I get my point. So inconsistent government policy has also been a problem with the oil palm industry. So government seems to not to look at that area too much because every government wants to make impact with that. So that leads me to one of the solutions is that the government should have a special. Now, if you are funding this our ministry and all this our agent, like we have Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, there should be another session that is mainly looking at tree crops, so that the tree crops like the oil palm.
Yes.
So because if I'm a minister, I'm looking at you give me I'm looking at all the crops holistically. So I'll give less attention to the tree crops because I want to show to my leader, the president, that okay, that I'm working. So I cannot tell him after result. I cannot tell him after 4 years of his administration, we are just doing the first or second harvest. When somebody that is doing annual crop must have started producing and exporting. Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
So the government should, in terms of policy, they should come out with a policy that is targeted towards the tree crops. And this policy should not be a thing that government will come and throw it away. Other government will, like just as we have this ATA program. When the next government came, they abandoned it. So it should be like that. There should be a kind of policy that is, if possible, it will pass through the National Assembly to be a kind of a law that this is what you should be guiding our tree crops, because this is it. The valuation of these tree crops, they are highly sustainable. So, but because every government wants to perform, so they just tend to overlook at it. So government should come out with a national policy to enhance tree crop development in Nigeria. So that is one solution towards that. Two, now the government has been trying, like taking NIFOR as a case study. Like for example, government subsidized palm oil seeds in Nigeria in NIFOR. For example, we sell our sprouted seeds for 1,000 naira. I mean, our oil palm seedling for 1,000 naira. Oil palm seedling. But this foreign, like Okomu and Presco and the rest, they said theirs as 3,000 naira. So you see the difference. So government they are involved in subsidy, in funding this thing, subsidizing this thing. So they should continue. So in doing that, more money should be put into that sector so that these seedlings can be given to farmers. Now, during the ATA program, such a thing was done by the government. Money was released so that sprouted seeds can be given to farmers in the that I said earlier on, that are farming that seed depends on those grooves in the wide, that the yield is very low. Are you getting me? So now, because of the time involved, because of what is involved in doing, if for example, what I related from my grandfather is still producing. So for me to cut it down and plant again, it will take a very it's very tedious. It costs a lot of money and resources.
Yes,
so these farmers, these farmers do not have that kind of money. So even though you give them the seeds, some of them are reluctant to plant it because they already have it there. So government should come in giving support to these farmers. So if government comes and says, okay, this how long has this plantation, this oil palm be? How long has it been here? They say, okay, maybe it's 30 years. It's enough for you to take it out. Then government comes in, provide the resources for it to be replanted. Because if you just give the seeds, alone to those farmers, they might not plant it. They might end up even selling it, or the seed might even die before they even plant it. So government should be involved along the value chain. They're already supporting NIFOR through research. Now it will go further again to these farmers that are doing this oil palm in the wide, that have this groove in the wide, to support them with planting, not just giving them the seed alone. If Nigeria will want to get to that level, be able to sustain itself in oil palm production. Now, secondly, there are some state-owned plantations that has gone moribund. So they should be privatized. Now, during the course of my work, we have one at Ondo State. I think it's old oil palm plantation. But what has done now? It's a state-owned plantation. They've gone into public-private partnership. So the place has been revitalized. So there are a lot of oil palm plantations around the federation. Some are state-owned, some are individual-owned, that has gone moribund. So government should come in by going to a kind of partnership, so that those things can be privatized, so that individuals can take them up. You have some in Cross River too. I've been to one plantation there. So it's a state-owned too. It was sold out to private persons. So government should do that. Again, the farmers that are involved in this processing, like I said earlier, some of this our oil extraction rate is very low. So yes. So even when we have even when you have gotten the production, the right, maybe you get the FFB now in large quantity. So if your extraction rate is very poor, it also affects your production, your output. So government should be involved in doing this in capacity building for farmers. These are done in NIFOR, but NIFOR alone cannot do all these things. As an agency, cannot do all these things. So within the year, NIFOR do training for farmers. I think we did one last year, smart agriculture for farmers on oil palm cultivation. This week again, we are also doing one again. So, but NIFOR is just one entity. So government should get involved, through state government, through ADPs, to ensure that people are trained and on this on palm oil processing, on how to get access to facilities. That is also one challenge, access to facilities. Now, when farmers are, like I said, during the Anchor Borrower program, when government gave loans to farmers, the tree crop farmers, like the oil palm, they find it very difficult, because, like I said before, if I'm an oil palm farmer and you are doing a maize, within 1 year you have done replanting, and harvested. Me, I'm still battling with the seedling stage. So the bank will not just close its eyes. So I must pay my money back. Is that not? So when you be paying your money back, me, where will I go? So those things discourage people, even the bankers from giving loans to farmers, and also the farmers even from going to the bank. I have a plantation that I also go for monetary. How much? I heard that the money that the man took from the bank to start that facility, because a very big facility, almost 30 billion naira. So if he doesn't have the assets, how can he do that? So oil palm investment is capital intensive. So it's not what just one person will do on his own. So government needs to be involved across the supply chain, from the farmers, the processor, the artisans, fabricating the mill, across, so that we're able to increase our production. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This is so insightful. Thank
you.
I think what this means is that we all need to do more. That's both the government, both the private sector, because obviously we can't. NIFOR is doing what it can, but I think more support is needed in that area, from more private organizations, right?
Yeah.
Collectively. And also the government can also do more, like you mentioned, in terms of support for the smallholder farmers who form the
Yes.
bulk of the oil palm, the production sector in Nigeria. I know somebody
Yeah.
had mentioned it to me that, again, one of the issues that we have in this area is because the palm oil trees, like you mentioned, of these smallholder farmers are old, and so the yield is much less. However,
Yes.
you pointed it out that there's also that challenge of them not wanting to bring it down, because even though the yield is not much, they can get a little out of it, and so the cost of having to bring
Just to
down.
satisfy their local markets.
Exactly. The cost of having to bring down the trees, the cost of having to clear, replant, and then wait, the waiting period again is not
Mm-hmm.
encouraging for them,
Oh.
So there needs to be support in that area. Hmm, very interesting. So much more needs to be done, so much work
Yeah, so much
needs to
money.
be in that area. My next question. Malaysia, the world's second largest producer of palm oil behind Indonesia, seems to be paving the way in the area of sustainability, doing its best to ensure its compliance with the UN's SDG goals with its policies, taking on a global leadership role. This has helped to boost Malaysia's palm oil exports globally. In my opinion, Nigeria appears to be quite far away from achieving global best practices in oil palm production. Is this the case?
I would say for large estate owners in Nigeria, it's not the case. Now, like I said earlier, I work with, I do some consult work with Okomu and other large estate plantations. Now, if you look, if you go to their stations, for example, they have their practices for doing things. Now, let's start with, okay, you want to you want to establish the oil palm plantation. Now, first, there's under the UN SDG goals, the body regulating it is known as a Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil Production, ROSPO. It's an organization that comes together. It involves all stakeholders, all stakeholders involved in the palm oil production, forming a law on guiding the oil palm establishment. Now, for example, in Edo State, if you are you want to establish oil palm plantation in line with the SDG goals, you don't need to degrade the environment to avoid biodiversity loss. So,
Yeah.
the Ministry of Environment, we go to that place with you. They will ensure that they will identify where there's diversity. They will tell you where not to cultivate and where to cultivate. Are you getting my point? So
Yeah.
I've seen these things with two major plantations in Edo State here. So, and they come yearly to ensure that to do monitoring, because the ROSPO goals, or the function, is commitment to transparency. Whatever you are doing, it must be transparent. There must be environmental responsibility, conservation of natural resources and biodiversity, responsible constitution of employers, small holders and other individuals within the community, responsible development for new plantings. So these are some of their functions. So within those functions, these major plantations in Nigeria, like this was a case study, they are adhere to these rules. Like, for example, like, while the difference between NIFOR and those organizations, NIFOR is NIFOR is not mainly into production. NIFOR is a research institute where
Yeah.
if you have challenge, you come in you are giving the technical support to do whatever you want to do. But these people that are into production, in terms in that establishment, we want to establish, starting from the plantation establishment, the Ministry of Environment, they go there with you to ensure that you keep producing goods. Like Okomu, for example, Okomu has 2 stations in Nigeria here, in Edo State here. They have a conserved area for the white treated monkey. So just to avoid extinction of that monkey. So people go there for picnics, things like that. So these are in line with the UN goals. Now, also in terms of conservation of natural resources, which also falls under those areas that I've just earlier mentioned, under the Ministry of Environment. These things are still there. So when you go to this large, even NIFOR, if you come to NIFOR, some of these large old trees that people thought, oh, they've gone through extinction, please, you see them. So NIFOR, for example, we monitor as large as our plantation. We ensure that people don't come in to do degradation, to steal those woods, all in a bid for natural resources conservation. So it goes across this major essence that I've just mentioned. So this all they are in line with the RSP PO goals. Now, in terms of workers' welfare, now I remember within the, I think last month, we were doing training for oil palm agri-feed officers. Now we took them to that stations. Now, going there, people that are like, presently we met people that are doing spraying. Before you want to use those herbicides, for example, talking about welfare of staff. Now, before you do those, you do your use of herbicides and those stuff, you must meet a standard requirement of dress code. In terms of your personal protective equipment. So yes, these are things that I've seen being practiced by these large estate owners, and also in line with the UN goals. They are still taking for treatment 2 weeks, I think once a month or 2 weeks, I can't remember, to ensure that those chemicals do not have impact on their health. So, and when it comes to one of the most important aspects in terms of certification of products, after you have produced the oil, or is it certified, or the people that are producing these things are they over-labeled? The community where they are staying, the people that are working in the community, they are staying, has it been degraded, has it been abused? Or if you go to this estate, like as I come for example in Nigeria, these things are well organized. It's just like they are living in a new life, even better than what some of us are living in society. They have constant access to light and constant access to water. Are you getting it? So all these things are in line with the UN goals. In terms of product certification, what comes out from the oil they say, I've seen those things also. They are all in line with the UN. Because you just see their notice. You are not allowed, when you go as a visitor. You see those things yourself. But when people stay out, they are far off. So they just think, no, these things are not. We are not practicing all these UN goals, sustainability goals, in terms of policies. I beg to be different. I differ from that opinion, because these are things that I've seen that people do. They practice this thing to the letter. So, and when you go all these places, they are being organized, they are being coordinated by even foreigners, Nigerians and foreigners. So I beg to be different. So in that aspect, in terms of compliance, I don't think Malaysia are doing better, or Indonesia, they are doing better. But the only way people feel that they are doing better than us is just because they produce more. So like I said earlier in my introduction, what is Malaysian population for the population of the whole of Malaysia for this 2022? I think the population is, but is not up to. I don't think it's up to 60 million compared to Nigeria. So it just they are producing more because you have government support. They have a development plan which they follow. So and they are keeping to it. So once you are able to keep to those things, not a short-term plan, having a long-term plan between 10 to 15 years, I think we do better than them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. So, I hear you on, and I'm glad to see that a lot of these large estate owners are practicing these ensuring that they are compliant with these UN SDG goals. I wonder if it's because a lot of these large estate owners are in the limelight. Like Okomu, for example, I believe is a public company, and so this particular company is in the limelight, and so there are expectations in how they do their business. So I'm wondering, and I think that you also mentioned it, that these large estate owners they ensure compliance in all of these areas. But like you mentioned that of course there are more smallholder farmers than the larger organizations, and so I think that for me, I'm wondering if this is like it has to be a collective. So if you have large organizations that perhaps produce 20% of the palm oil, for example, of the country, and they are ensuring that they are compliant in this area, and you have 80 smallholder farmers and other private organizations who fly under the radar, so unless there's like an organization that ensures compliance across board and certifications and things like that, like what Malaysia appears to be doing. Is there any organization or anybody that ensures that the palm oil that is being produced, even by other private organizations that are not, in the eye of the public, and other smallholder farmers are ensuring compliance in this area? So I think that's where the concern is, because it appears like we still have a lot of work to do in that area. So if a few of these organizations that are in the public eye, and so there's the expectation that they'll be compliant, are doing what they can, and then the bulk of the others are not, then we really aren't there, right?
Yes. Okay. If I need to come in there now, like I want to note, we notice that, or we take notice, our oil palm sector in Nigeria is not regulated.
Yes, it's very fragmented.
Even our food
Yes.
circle, general food system generally.
Yeah.
Now, somebody can just wake up today and say, he wants to be selling a food. All of a sudden, he just wake up and start selling. Without no registration, nothing whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so with the oil. It's so with the oil palm. Now, we as an institute, what do we do? Now, we have a session at our institute. Sometimes people go to look at the quality of what these roadside producers are doing, because it's not regulated. So they are more in the society, but the eye of the government is not on them. It's just okay. It's just a way for them for livelihood sustenance. So they just ignore them. So, but indirectly, when they are not complying to regulations, what they are doing is like they are also poisoning people. If what they are doing is not of good quality, or what they are bringing out is not of good quality, or is adulterated, so indirectly you are poisoning. It's just food fraud or food poisoning. Now, our people, like NIFOR, there's a division that also does that. Once in a while, they go around to see the quality of what people this oil that they are selling. What is the quality? So we do those things, and what we only do, we only share the information with the public. We don't have the power to enforce. Now,
Absolutely.
along the line, in terms of, we found that we have also seen that people want to make the oil to look red. They want to make the palm oil to look red. So locally, there's where they meet they will millipede now. They will meet something with millipede and add this to the oil. So we have seen that. I get to my point. We have seen that. So, but you cannot, you can't arrest them. You can't do anything. But what we only do when we get our stake, when we come together for a stakeholders meeting, we say these things out, because there's no organized body or regulatory body to ensure that. Just like we have under the drugs, like drug now, you have. And if I'm selling NAFDAC, if I'm selling drugs today, if I'm importing fake drug into the country, no matter how small it is, once I'm caught, I'm caught. They don't know that you are a big time player or a small time player. They're not interested. In as far as that drug is fake, is fake. So that is not so with the oil palm industry. Maybe probably because it's food and people just believe it's okay. So a lot of people do a lot of things to ensure that the oil appears to be of good quality in terms of color, but there's no. If we have seen those things, but nobody can arrest or do anything. Now we also done research. A colleague of mine, we found out that most people that sells palm oil, they use different types of jerry cans to sell. Maybe along Lagos Road, you see some they use white jerry cans, some they use black jerry cans. So he also did a study to find out which of the jerry cans is better for the palm oil palm oil packaging for selling. So that was his PhD thesis. He did that and he came out with a findings. So it was also shared. But you cannot go and say, oh, because I found that selling palm oil in a black jerry can is better or in green jerry can is better, so stop selling it. Are you getting my point? We don't have that such powers. So as an institute, we that try to see the small older farmers. We try to what they are doing. We try to look at it. Like for example, when I was doing my PhD on shea butter, I went to two major shea butter producing states in Nigeria, Delta, Niger, and Kwara State, and I thought the way they were processing that. So the way they process even the water they use, you can't even use water to wash your hand. You see the water.
Oh dear.
I have the pictures today. You can't use water to wash your hand, but that is what they use in processing shea butter, and that is one of the reasons why our shea butter, why it affects our shea butter quality is low. But you can't arrest them because you don't have that authority. So the only thing you will do, you only. When stakeholder comes together, you only say, oh, stakeholder, please help these people like this. So that's how also these things is being done in the oil, with the oil palm. So the small orders which are not working in line with the SDG goals, for now, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think there's anything you can do about it. But the only thing is this, is that whatever they produce cannot move beyond their local market. Not go beyond their local market. So it will just be within that sector. But if what they are doing, because the companies that buys, if the company wants to buy, they have a way of checking the quality. So once the quality does not meet their standard, either they reject or they buy it at very low price. You get it? So in as far that there's no regulatory agency, there is nothing that can be. So for us, for that to be addressed, government needs to let's look at this sector to ensure that the smallholder farmers or these people that are doing this, at least whatever they are doing, should meet this minimum quality.
Because it's such a
If not
large
for anything,
sector. We use a lot of palm oil and vegetables.
yes.
Yes.
So to make sure this thing meets at least this quality of production, or this kind of this quality range. So they will just set it. Anybody that falls beyond those quality range, government know what to do. But doing that alone, we help in our food security in terms of looking at it from the earth angle. Because when the quality is poor, it has other long-term effects on humans consuming it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Daniel. Now, my final question. Are there currently any deliberate efforts to close this market gap locally in order for us to achieve food sufficiency in oil palm production? If so, do help shed some light on those efforts, in terms of expansion of our production in order to bridge this market gap.
Yes, like we have been seeing throughout the course of the discussion. Yes, government has been, there have been a lot of efforts, and one of the major things, like I said earlier, is that we have too much government inconsistency in government policy. So when a government comes out with a perfect plan today, the next time on that government comes in, they change the plans. So whatever that has been invested in that policy becomes become wasted. So start over from the scratch again. So, but looking at the oil palm sector specifically, in line with tree crops, we have I think it's 2004, there was a presidential initiative on tree crops program. And this sector, this program was to, especially for NIFOR, how it affects NIFOR, was to help NIFOR increase oil palm seedlings production. So you can see a government can come here and say, okay, they will just focus on Obasanjo and Jonathan era. Much money was pumped in there to ensure that seedlings were produced. But after that, that was not the case again. So was like with that case. We have the ATA program during Jonathan's era. I witnessed that one also because I was in NIFOR. I was already in NIFOR. Government brought a lot of money for oil palm seedlings to be produced. So and these seeds should be given to farmers. It was a massive project through our extension division, going across to farmers to give them these seeds to ensure that they plant so that we can increase our production. That was done, but after that, the next government came. No continuity dead. So government has been making effort in line with the oil palm to ensure that how do we increase palm oil production? Government has been doing that. But like I said, the major problem is inconsistent government policy. We already have all these things on ground. So for us to make this, in my own opinion, I don't know if it's possible, the National Assembly can come out with a law. Maybe it's like 20 years, 30 years concerning these are tree crops. A law will be passed. So if any government comes, you don't have the power to change it.
Yeah.
You must ensure that everybody aligns to it. Because at the end of the day, it will be the benefit of everybody.
Yeah.
I remember about some few years ago, in our institute, we have old oil palm trees that are there. Some of them are for germplasm collections, but some other feed people are afraid to even to destroy the feed to plant because of the cost involved. But one of our past director, some of the courage, and he did that. So he has retired, but now they are investing the feed. So because of this, why I think government is shy is that in that aspect is it's a long-term investment. So that is why, if it's possible, a law need to be put in place for these our three crops, a kind of an act to ensure that, okay, this is, if a government does this like this, and that has been agreed on, it cannot easily be changed. It must be there for a long term, 10, 15 years, so that people will get the benefit. Government, they are doing a lot. Government is doing a lot. Government has been making a lot of effort to increase our production, our market share, all those things. But I highlighted some of this. I said in 2004, we have the presidential initiative on tree crops. This program, in respect to NIFOR, it was to increase the production of oil palm seedlings to farmers. In so that 2004 program, the aim was also to plant 1 million hectares of oil palm tree in 5 years. So you see, it's a long-term thing. So if you are planting 1 million hectares in 5 years, so that means it's going to be like 250 hectares per year. So these are all government initiatives. We have the ATA program, which was to give seedlings to farmers. We have the Anchor Borers program. We have other programs also that will help to increase the sales of palm oil to try to increase the market access. So, but all these programs, like I said, is when government comes, they will bring in, and new government comes in, they will bring in technocrats, they will sit down, they will and look at all these things, do it perfectly. They start implementing. When that government leaves power, or that government comes, it discards that policy or that intervention programs.
Yeah.
Then it comes up with its own. On that one comes again, the same thing. So the thing is, it lies with the government. So I don't feel that, my own personal view, no, instead of us changing things over and over, every 8 years or 4 years, we start changing policies. It's not good. So we can come out with an act. Oh, this is for the tree crops related to the oil palm. This is what we are going to do, and it will be passed. So no, it's not as if government does not have hand in it. So it's like a national issue. So when it's there, everybody is now working with it. It can be if it's like 10 years plan, 15 years plan, we start working with it. At the end of the day, we achieve something. But you can. So by the end of the day, we achieve something. But if we keep on changing the policies, no matter what government is doing, we won't make any headway. That's just the way I see it. Thank you.
Dr. Daniel, thank you for dissecting this, breaking it down in this way. So it's so clear to us where we are in this area. As for me, I need to close the gap and be sufficient in that area of oil palm production and palm oil production. So I'll be reaching out to you in camera, because I need to get a dozen seedlings to put in my acreage so that I can be food sufficient in my home, right? So if I'm sufficient in that in my own home, then there's less pressure for the consumption of my own home. If that's the I can do, I have to commit to that. Thank you so much for such an insightful and knowledge-based conversation.
Thank you very much.
I truly appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much. And
thank you very much. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.